So we're going to work on the 9-banger today. Give you a grenade that goes off 9 separate times. This one's not too much different than the flashbang we did last time, but there are a few key noticeable differences that we'll have to cover. So getting into the file, again, we copy everything that we did, like all the other grenades that we've done. Really the only one that you have to make different this time is going to be this projectile. So getting into the logic of this one, one of the things to note is for whatever reason, I think this actor runs on the server, there's not a tick. So we actually have to build this custom for loop. If you use a regular loop, it's going to print it all out on the same tick, and it's not going to work. So go ahead and you're just going to create a macro over here just to add it, and I have for loop with delay. On the inputs, you want to add an exec, 2 integers, your first and last index, and then a delay. On your outputs, you've got an exec, an integer, and then your completed exec. So you can name all of these. The interesting thing is I actually found this code right here. There's a dude who was on, I think, one of the Unreal forums. I'll put a link in the description. He's awesome. Definitely saved my life. So go ahead and copy this code or follow the link and see the discussion in there. Basically just says that for loops don't work on the server, so use this code instead. Great guy. But once you have this for loop, right? So you're going to add this right off of the detonate. One thing that I did do, and I'll get into why I did it later, is basically every time the grenade pops or flashes, it's going to pop up a little bit, move a little bit. So I did have to simulate physics. I know the what is this? The actor is not, it does not have physics enabled. It uses projectile movement, as you can see over here. I ran into some issues trying to get it to replicate and work, and it didn't. And to be honest, I don't think simulate physics works all that great on replication according to Unreal, but for our purposes, it's not moving a ton, and it at least works a little bit. So we're going to add this. You're grabbing this mesh and plugging that into here. So once we run this loop, we'll walk through here. All of this code should be the same as the other flashbang. No, I'm sorry, take that back. It's this add impulse right here. So we're going to add an impulse. I have it going up in the Z direction on every pop, but then I'm moving it just 100 in the X and the Y, and I'm doing a random float. So I plug in the random floats into this vector, and it gives it it moves in a random direction each time. We still are running off of, this is the default logic. And there's one other spot that we have to modify in here, but let me get to that, just kind of going through so you can see. Do I have anything? No, sorry. Okay, so it's once we get to this spot. So this is again the same as the flashbang, but one of the things that I noticed is, for whatever reason, how the material works is it wasn't applying the material strength evenly with each flash. So I actually have a multiplier, and we're coming right off of that for loop. I can show you this, follow this int line right here. We're grabbing the index that we're putting out on here, and I'm delaying 1 second. You can delay it a half second, 2 seconds, however long you want. But it basically just that's the time in between the flashes. So in here, I'm just using a select node, and I'm multiplying it by 2. Notice on here, I think I just had multiplying it by 2. But on the first bang, it's going to be 2. On the second, it's 2.5. On the third is 3. The fourth is 3.5. So on and so on, all the way down to I have it at 6. And I thought that added a decent strength to each flash. Go ahead and change that, play with that, modify that however you want. And then we're using that same logic on the flash that we're plugging it into. So that is how you get it to run on the server. One of the things to note, and I was going to touch on it later, but if you run into this issue, right? So you're working on a multiplayer game and you've got some issues. It's under the input abilities. So we're going to go off this grenade base. For whatever reason, if you're running a multiplayer game, the stack count, it's not, I don't know if it's running on the server, but the client is not grabbing this information, or forget if it's the other way around. But you do have to have this HasAuthority here. If you don't, your game's going to crash when you're running it as a client. But if you add this HasAuthority, this will go ahead and fix that. So you can still run the same logic, but just make sure you have this add authority in the grenade base. That's one of the blueprints that we created in a previous video. And then the other one that you're going to want to do is the item base. So I was going to get to animations a little bit later. However, again, kind of working on multiplayer, the the client wasn't throwing the grenade, and it was just, well, what happened is, so right here we're actually setting the index on the server, but because it runs so fast, by the time you got back to the client, we were already switched back to the index that we had saved, right? So if you just add a little bit of a delay, this is going to save that. The other thing too, though, is basically this allows you to run your grenade toss animation. So like I said, I haven't gotten to the animations because I'm probably going to add a custom one where you actually pull the grenade out and hold it in between throwing it and release. So I might actually have to add a delay or tie in some sort of, I forget what it's called, but the, was it the animation cue? I'll get to that in a separate video, but just run this delay here after the apply effect owner. So I'm going to go into multiplayer and just show you, see I'm playing as a client. Let me get this started, but I'll show you that it does affect. Oh, that's my C4. I will get to that in a future video, but let me just go back to, I think it's the 141 is the 9-banger. Okay, and then I'll get back into the game. Okay, so here we see running around. Let me find which one's the server. Which one's, is this him? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to, let me stand back a little bit so I don't flashbang myself. Oh, I flashbang myself. Anyways, you see on the other screen, it's working. So running as two clients, and it works on both screens because I flashbang myself. So anyways, that is the flashbang. So no, sorry, not the flashbang. That is the 9-banger. Hope you guys liked it. And then as you can see, I was running the C4, so that will be my next video. Stay tuned for that one. Once I get done with that one, I think I might do the animations in that one, but that will be the last one for the grenades, and then I'm going to move on to some other things. So hope you guys like that. Stay tuned for more to come.